I'm going to sell Gabriel this game week in FPL, and I have the perfect replacement. In today's team selection video, we're going to cover exactly how I could line up ahead of that game week 12 deadline, and how I plan to fix my 3 flagged players. So, let's get into this. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's team selection video. Of course, I have 3 flagged players in my side in Gabriel, Semenyo and Enzo Fernandez, and I've only got 1 free transfer, but I do think that 1 free transfer is enough to fix my team for game week 12, and we're going to cover that in today's team selection video. Just before we do so, if you are brand new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I make FPL videos to help you guys at home by just clicking that little red subscribe button. It does make a massive difference in supporting the channel. If you do end up enjoying today's video as well, go ahead and drop a like. But we're going to get straight into things with the talk of the town here, Gabriel. Everyone wants to know what is going on with this guy, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an update here, and as well some of the replacements who could be joining my side for game week 12 if I do sell Gabriel. Now, the update from David Ornstein suggests that Gabriel could be out for 1 to 2 months, which is absolutely devastating, of course. In the past few weeks, I think Gabriel has easily been the best defensive asset to own in FPL. Just been absolutely monstrous. He's been crazy good for us all, and, you know, not having that potentially now till the new year is a real bummer. But I do think I can replace him pretty well with a number of different assets in FPL. Sort of top of the list is Virgil van Dijk, and then we sort of go down the list into Palace assets, Daniel Munoz, Chris Richards, and then perhaps some Bournemouth assets for their good run of fixtures as well in Senesi and perhaps Truffert as well. So that's kind of where my mind's at in terms of replacements for Gabriel. Of course, it doesn't feel great selling them because he is just the best defender in the game. But if he's not playing till the new year and we get that fully confirmed, I will probably sell him with my 1 free transfer this game week. Of course, I'm still rocking the Arsenal triple up here. That could change, of course, this week. But Timber and Raya join Gabriel in the defence this game week. I do think the home fixture against Spurs is pretty strong, in all honesty. Yes, it's a derby fixture and kind of form goes out the window here, but Arsenal will be desperate to get a win on the board and probably a clean sheet as well, just after the game week they had in game week 11. You know, they want to prove to everyone they are the top dogs in this title race. They don't want to allow, you know, City to catch up and, you know, really put pressure on. They need to keep this lead. So I think this will be a really great opportunity for the FPL asset this game week. But then we've got a fixture clash between Mukiele and Anderson here. Now, from the two, I do think Anderson has the slight advantage in terms of clean sheet potential here, but I do expect Sunderland to score within the fixture. I'm hoping for defensive contributions from both of these assets and, you know, maybe a Sunderland clean sheet because I am a Sunderland fan. But overall, you know, the defence here does really look quite strong apart from the orange flag on Gabriel, but I do think I can fix it by bringing in one of the replacements I stated at the start of this section. Let's move on now, though, to the midfielders. The international break has well and truly gave me the most amount of flags I've had all season. 2 more flags in the midfield in Semenyo and Enzo Fernandez. And I'll give you a little bit of an update that I've heard about these players. With Semenyo, it's actually decent news for once. It seems that the injury he sustained, which was sort of the reason he went out and withdrew from international duty, wasn't really a thing. It turned out it was more to do with personal reasons, but I'm yet to hear sort of an official statement from Bournemouth or Semenyo himself stating that is true. So he does keep the flag in the official FPL website. I do think he will be okay for West Ham at home, and I do think it's a brilliant fixture in all honesty for Bournemouth. Of course, Bournemouth do perform at a much higher standard at home. I believe if you looked at the table in terms of only home form, Bournemouth would actually be 3rd in the table. So that does tell you a story on how good they are at home. We'll cover Enzo Fernandez next with his flag. Now, it's a bit of a weird one. I've heard a lot of different things about Enzo Fernandez, and I'm yet to hear something that is sort of official. But the closest thing we have heard is it sort of is just a planned rest, or it could be the same knee issue he sustained in game week 8 on international duty. Now, if it's the same issue popping up again, Could there be a rest against Burnley away from home? A slightly easier fixture in terms of fixture difficulty for Chelsea. Maybe he could be rotated. But then again, you know, there's a lot of injuries in this Chelsea side. He may have to play if he is just having a slight knock here. But I do think at the end of the day, international duty, it could just be a little bit of a rest. I'm leaning more towards that as a fact currently for Enzo Fernandez. Maybe I'm just being optimistic and a bit of copium is coming into play here, but I do think he should be okay for game week 12. So no transfers really needed with those two players in my eyes. Of course, Enzo Fernandez's fixture kind of speaks for itself. It's against Burnley. I think it's a brilliant fixture and hopefully he is fit. Bruno Fernandes, the other Fernandes in my team, Everton at home. I absolutely love owning Bruno Fernandes. Back-to-back 5-pointers in the last 2 game weeks. Hoping for a little bit more this game week actually with the home fixture against Everton. Looks like Sesko is out for a month as well. So we're looking at Matheus Cunha playing up front for Manchester United. Maybe that actually could support them a little bit in the Premier League. Sesko, yes, you know, has his moments of, you know, good performance, but at the end of the day, Matheus Cunha is the better player, even if he is playing in that striker role. We then have Minte, who was a fresh transfer into my team last game week, and Brentford at home, you know, doesn't seem bad on paper, but Brentford have been going into a really good run of form recently. Thiago's absolutely on fire, one of the most popular transfers in FPL this game week. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game for between Brighton and Brentford this game week, but at least it is a home fixture for Brighton. Brighton is another one of those teams travelling away from home, hasn't been their strongest suit in the Premier League. So fingers crossed this home fixture is great for Minte and he can kick himself off with an attack and return in my team for game week 12. But let's move up now to the forward line. Mateta and Haaland complete the forward line here, with Mateta taking the captaincy armband. We're going to have a really good discussion about captaincy this game week in just a second. Of course, Mateta's fixture in itself, Wolves away from home, isn't too bad. I quite like the fixture in all honesty. Then you've got Erling Haaland against Newcastle away from home. Now, Newcastle are actually 3rd in the table for expected goals conceded, but their Premier League form in recent weeks has been absolutely terrible. Just the performance levels are nowhere near they need to be for Newcastle. But, you know, a home fixture for Newcastle does feel like a bit of an advantage. It's like, you know, the Stadium of Light for Sunderland. Any fixture there, you feel like you could get something. I feel as though there's a similar energy with Newcastle playing at the St. James's Park. So, you know, Haaland travelling up there, it's going to be a difficult game, but it's Erling Haaland. He's a robot. I don't think them things really matter to him, to be honest. So I expect him to do something within the game, but I don't think the ceiling is as high as someone like Jean-Philippe Mateta, and that's why he has the armband this week. Now, there is a little bit of doubt creeping in with the captaincy armband on Jean-Philippe Mateta this week, because Wolves have appointed Rob Edwards as the new manager. Now, we all hear about this, you know, new manager bounce this, new manager bounce that. Could that actually be the case with Wolves here? Could it genuinely be the case? They've been that bad in the Premier League. Surely they can only get better with a new manager. A bit of a change-up in system, perhaps, that we see. It does pop me off ever so slightly, but Jean-Philippe Mateta, his data's unbelievable. He plays in a really good attacking side. I do have faith in him, but yeah, it is just putting me off ever so slightly. That armband could slowly creep back to Erling Haaland, but I could look elsewhere in the form of Semenyo, Bruno Fernandes, Enzo Fernandez, Minte. You know, I've got a lot of good attacking options in the side here. It's just picking the person who, in my opinion, has the highest ceiling, and I think currently that is Jean-Philippe Mateta, but there is a little bit of doubt there. But overall, that is currently how the side looks without the one free transfer. I'm going to quickly change to another graphic where we made our one free transfer. You probably guessed it, my Gabriel replacement could be Virgil van Dijk. I mentioned it at the start of the video for you guys. He is actually top of my list currently for Gabriel replacements. Of course, Gabriel seems to be out for 1 to 2 months. Virgil van Dijk coming in, it feels almost like a like-for-like replacement, not in terms of FPL points and sort of, you know, Gabriel is miles better than Virgil van Dijk as an FPL asset, but, you know, you're bringing a similar profile of player in here. You've got Virgil van Dijk, great for defensive contributions, is coming into an incredible fixture run. I just really like those things about him, and that's what Gabriel has been in recent weeks. But of course, Gabriel has massive set piece threat, and I don't think Virgil van Dijk has that as much. Of course, Virgil van Dijk scored a header against Manchester City, but it was ruled offside. I do think wrongly, in all honesty. I don't think Robertson was really affecting Donnarumma that much. So if you do own Virgil van Dijk already, a bit unlucky for you guys. But I do think it's a really sensible move this week, going for Virgil van Dijk and selling Gabriel. If there's somehow some news coming out that Gabriel is okay to be playing in these next few weeks, maybe I keep him, but it doesn't seem likely whatsoever, and this seems like the obvious move. Of course, maybe a boring move, you could argue. You know, I could go for a Truffert, Senesi, Richards, Munoz. They feel like more exciting picks in FPL, but with Liverpool's fixture run coming up, I can kind of bring Virgil van Dijk in and not really have to worry too much about him. So, yeah, that's my proposed transfer for game week 12. Let me know in the comments what you think of that transfer, and of course, what you think of my team for game week 12. Tomorrow you can expect my weekly team rating live stream, so make sure you join and get your team rated ahead of the game week 12 deadline. Of course, I outro my videos always with a massive thank you for your support on today's video and the channel. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and drop a like, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button for future FPL content and FPL streams. But that is everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.